Trying to clean this wiring harness on the dash up a little bit. I had some of these Packard connectors around. You know, basically it's a 6-pin connector, male and female. So I've got this side of the loom done. I don't have the car side, and I'm working on this section over here. So I've got 6 wires over here down to 1 connector, and so far over here I'm 5 wires to put into a connector. But I'm just got myself into a conundrum. I can't, you know, I had these 2 wires here coming off the T terminal, as well as the dash lights come off the T terminal, and near as I can tell, that T terminal is only powered when the switch here, the headlamp switch that's integrated into the ignition switch, is in the side position. So it has 3 positions: off, side, and headlamp. So apparently, from what I've seen here, I've been trying to test this, the way I'm wired now, my dash lights only work when the headlamp switch is in the side position, and these lights, these 2 wires here, they're all going to the same place, only get power in the side position. So if you want to power the headlights, you have to put it in the headlamp position, and that wire runs over here and powers the headlights. The problem with that is you need to have the tail lights on when the headlights are on. And you should have, if you have to have the headlights on, more than likely you need the dash lights on. So I'm going to have to rewire this so that when the headlights come on, there's power to this switch for the dash lights. You can turn them on, turn them off, and at least you'd have headlights and taillights. These 2 wires that I already have here, these 2 brown wires, originally one was going to be for the front fender side lights, and the other was going to go back to the tail lights. Well, I think what I'll do now is just use one for the left side front light and one for the right side front light, and then I'll cut this wire off, this 3rd wire that runs over to this switch, and then I'm going to have to power this switch from the headlamp circuit, so that when you get power to the headlamp circuit, it powers this switch that powers the dash lights. And then I still have to get a source for the tail lights, and I'm going to have to either put another wire, so that would be 3 wires on this headlamp terminal, 1 for tail lights, 1 for headlights, and 1 to the dash light switch. You know, it just it's all very confusing for a non-electrical person. But I sat here with my test light to try to make sure that everything was working the way it should, and that's what I kind of discovered. So better to discover it now than later on after you put everything together. We'll continue onward here, but I don't know, because of course I don't know enough about these cars back in the day. I was born before I was by a year or so, and I don't know what they had for tail lights back then. If they had any tail lights, they must have had something. And you know, when they were on, when they weren't on, all that sort of thing. You know, it's interesting, that's for sure. We'll figure it out. You know, this is just no job for an old man. My brain is fried. But I think I've managed to reduce all of this wiring mess to 2 plugs. And hopefully we can just put this dash in and hook up our other wires accordingly and plug them in, and Bob's your uncle. I've worked with a test light, and I think everything works, but after a while, your eyes go blurry. Still have to replace this little light here. We'll do that. But that should neaten things up. The interesting thing is that really, to start and run this car, you need a wire to the ignition switch that powers the coil and the fuel pump, and you hook a battery to the starter. The starter's got a manual lever to engage the Bendix, and the engine starts and runs. All of this crap on the back of this dash is for lights and charging and all kinds of crap that you don't really need to make the car run. You need it to, you know, to be a car, but really to make the car just run is pretty simple. So hopefully this part is done. We'll find out. Well, we're getting going on connecting our dash to the rest of the car. So we've got this plug on here, and we're starting to do one here. These two are the grounds. One is the primary ground for the dash, and the second one is a ground for the horn. And then we have our other plug over there. We've got some of the wires plugged in. I've got two wires yet to go over there, which are the front fender marker lamps and the tail lamps. And then I also have to put a wire from the ammeter down to the plug, and I'm going to pull that dash back off of there. To do that, we've probably got one or two other wires that we're going to have to deal with. The charge light wire, there's an extra wire for that, and I don't know, we'll have to see, but tried to make this simple so that later on, if we have to, you can just come in and unplug these two plugs and the cables for the tach and the speedo, and just take the dash right out. Hopefully I don't ever have to do that, but you never know. So we'll just keep plugging away here and see what we get.